All right, 8th graders, let's find the center of this paper. First thing we're going to do is we're going to take our paper and hold it horizontally, place our T-square against the paper horizontally, ensuring that it's touching and perfectly parallel. Then we're going to measure across. So the paper is exactly 18 inches. Half of 18 is 9. I'm going to make the lightest little dot at the number 9. Next, I'm going to take my T-square. I'm going to put it vertically and slide it up to the paper. Now they're perfectly touching and aligned. I'm going to slide my T-square until I encounter that dot that I just created, and I'm going to measure again. So I'm on the dot that I just created. It's right here. My paper is 12 inches tall. Half of 12 is 6. At this number 6, I'm going to make a bold dot. This is smack in the center of the paper. My T-square is perfectly vertical, so lightly with my pencil, I'm going to make a vertical line. Perfect. Next step, I need to make 1, 2, 3 measurements. I'm going to find half an inch. Here's a common mistake. Students think that they should start measuring at the number 1. No, you start measuring at the number 0. So at half an inch, make a dot. At 1 inch, make a dot. At 2 1/2, make a dot. So half inch, 1 inch, 2 1/2 inches. That's our good start. Now I'm going to take my board and tape my paper to the board. So here's how that goes. I have my board here. My board has a Sharpie line on it. And I'm going to match up my paper with the Sharpie line, vertically and horizontally. Now my paper's aligned. Holding it with one hand, I'm going to tape it down. I like to tape not on a diagonal, but across, because then I get more surface taped down. I'm taping all 4 corners, and you'll notice that I'm gently pressing the tape into place. You're going to want to use drafting tape for this step so that you don't rip your paper. Okay, so now I have my vertical line, and I have my, now I need a horizon line, so I'm going to go ahead, take my T-square, put it horizontally, slide it to the dot, and lightly draw across for a horizontal line. For me, I have to take my T-square, scoot it to the opposite side, and now I can draw a complete horizontal line. Now that I have my complete horizontal line, I'm going to add a vanishing point. The vanishing point is going to be on the left and on the right. I'm going to go nice and bold so I can locate them easily. To build our sidewalk, we're going to simply start by connecting the dots. I'm going to connect the bottom dot to the vanishing point on the left. So I'm going to put my pencil on my bottom dot, slide my T-square numbers down, chew my pencil, and rotate my T-square until it's on the vanishing point. I'm going to draw a light line connecting the two. I'm going to repeat the same process with the second dot. Here's my second dot. I'm going to rotate the T-square, keeping it at the dot. I'm drawing it across. Now I'm going to flip it the other way, put my pencil on the vanishing point over on the right, rotate, stop at the dot, draw it back to the vanishing point, and one more time back to the vanishing point. So this is going to become the curb of the sidewalk. Next step, I'm going to connect to this center dot right here at 2 1/2 inches. I'm going to connect the left vanishing point. I'm going to rotate my T-square, and now I'm aligned with both dots. This time when I draw, I'm going to draw from the dot to the line. See how I went all the way across, dot to the line. In this section, I'm going to erase that center line. Okay, take a moment and erase that center line. Next side, dot through that middle dot, vanishing point on the right. I'm going to start at the vanishing point and go all the way to that middle line. Okay, so now we have the center sidewalk block. We know that this is the largest sidewalk block, so all the subsequent blocks are going to be smaller. Just with your fingers, measure, scoot in your hand, and you're going to make the blocks each time a little bit smaller. So I'm just scooching in my fingers. You could measure, you could eyeball, as long as the intervals between the two dots become more narrow. At the end, you don't have to get crazy by making a million. Now we want to have our sidewalk be symmetrical, meaning the same on both sides. So I've located my dots on this middle line. I'm going to plot my dots on the middle line on the other side by simply taking my T-square, putting it horizontally across my paper. I'm going to put my pencil on my first dot, slide the T-square to my pencil, identify the middle line, and add a dot. Put a dot on the next one, identify the middle line, add a dot. Find the dot, mark the 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 dot. Find the dot, and finally mark the dot. Now I have dots running on my paper. In perspective, you get 3 lines. You get lines that are vertical, lines that are horizontal, and lines that go towards the vanishing point. To make the sidewalk lines, we're going to work in the larger space, and we're going to connect to the opposite vanishing point. So I have my T-square is over on the left vanishing point. My right sidewalk blocks are going to connect to the left vanishing point. So I'm simply rotating my T-square, stopping at the dot, drawing across, stop at the dot, draw across, stop at the dot, draw across, stop at the dot, and stop at the dot. Okay, same thing on the opposite side. So right side, vanishing point is going to connect to the dots on the left, and we're filling in the larger space. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm nearly done here. 5, 6, 7. Last one. 8. Here we go. Okay, now we have these sidewalk blocks. We're going to create vertical lines within the smaller section here. So let's go ahead, and every time we hit a sidewalk block in the small section, we're going to make a vertical line. In perspective, we are creating the illusion of 3 dimensions. In order to create the illusion of 3 dimensions, we are showing more than one surface. So here for the sidewalk, we're showing the front, the curb, and then the top of the sidewalk as well. Another thing we're doing is we are making the things lower on the picture plane larger and smaller as they go back into the distance. We are also making the sidewalk blocks smaller as they go back into the distance. And last couple blocks. Last one. There we go. That's your whole sidewalk created. Now you can make a building.